Can someone please confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right. Thanks for confirming. And is there any question or concern regarding any last week's session or last session or any general question? Okay, if not, we can start the session. And today, I believe, is the session 8. So let me create a Blackboard file, change the name here today. All right, so it's June 1st. And I'm sure you can see my screen. And today's session first. Okay, let's begin. So in last session, we talked about array and object as far as I can remember. Is there any question from class, object, and array? Any one of you? Right. So I believe all of you are clear about those topics. I'm trying to find the syllabus that I have written, the small syllabus. These we have already covered here. So, so we have covered all these up to class member, and last session we have covered array, and today I'm going to cover more objects and the constructor, and then if time permits, programming language concept that is called OOP. All right, so let's start with object and constructor. If you guys have no other question from previous array, object, and classes, then I can start about constructor. So, so we know about method and how to declare a method, and constructor is also a method. But let me open a project and start giving an example of constructor. It will be the best, I believe. Instead of writing notes on in a second to solving this. Um, okay. and let me run it, see if it's working. So this is the last project we have created in our last session. Let's check if it's working properly. So I can work on top of this. Okay. All right. So in last session, what we did in last session, we have created two objects. I mean, two class. One is called employee and one is called student. Right. So and now student and employee, these are classes, and we can create objects from these classes, right? And can contain what are the members of the class? Can someone please answer? So what are the members of classes? I mean, a class. What kind of member a class can have? Okay. I mean a few. I mean last few sessions. Because if you do not remember or do not understand previous session, there's no point to going forward. And I believe Brother Tariq did not take any quizzes. So what I'm planning, next two sessions we have, right? We have two last group sessions. So first half an hour will be quiz on next remaining two group sessions. And at the end of the quiz, I will let more. And if we cannot cover everything in these 10 group sessions, we have to take some other extra classes because otherwise, I mean, all the topics is not going to be finished. So again, I mean, a class can have three members, right? Those are uh, class members. Those are called field and methods, right? And last one is inner class, right? So these are members of a class, right? So can someone give me one example of a field and one example of method and one example of inner class, right? So please go ahead first. Then someone please give me an example of field or tell me at least what is a field. Well, can you guys hear me? Well, so no one is talking. I mean, if you do not talk, that means either you understood everything or can someone please talk to me? Brother Gauhar, can you hear me?
I'll try. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks. Okay, I was talking with no one. Okay, no problem.
Brother. Hello?
Okay, so please, sure.
The I'm not. The field public, right?
Hmm. So what is field, first of all?
Field. It's like
Excellent. Okay, it's a global variable, right?
the
Global
global
variable.
variable. Yes.
Right. In C, we call global variable. In Java, we call it field. Very simple, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So now give an example. How can I write? How can I declare a field in Java?
You put public, and then you put like int, integer, or string, or anything, right? The different type,
Okay.
and then you give it a name.
Name. Just give me a name.
No, something, whatever.
Number. And then
You could put a semicolon, or you could initialize it. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So this is a global variable, right?
Yes.
Excellent. And in the last session, I explained about the difference between static field and non-static field. I know if you can remember, and I have given some note here.
I think
Can you guys remember it? So
static is constant. And what do we call it? It's it could be changed. You know, it could be manipulated.
okay, excellent. So the one that you just have declared, is that static? Field or non-static field?
No, that's non-static. The one we just did.
Excellent. Yes. So here, right here. So variable, right? So static field is called class variable. So the one that you just have declared can be claimed as instance variable,
Yes.
which is non-static field, right? Okay. So variable that are stored on an object. Okay, of an object. All right. So we are good. Declare a method for me here. So we are good with field. Can someone please declare a method? So what is method? Method means function, right? In C
Yes.
or any other languages, we call function. In C, we call. How can I declare a method?
You give it a name. Like you can say,
How should I start?
we can start with the
With the same person.
yes.
Can you give chance to some other person so that other person else please try to define a method. Sister Selena or person name. Yes, brother Gauhar, can you hear me?
Yes, brother.
Okay, so I'm trying to declare a method. Can you help me? How can I declare a method? So previously I have given some notes. If you want, I can bring those notes. So method declaration, right? So in a method, we have to identifier and then a return type and then identifier. So basically, we will follow this, right? So private, protected, or default, right? And then the return type. It can be either primitive or reference, or it can also be a void. And then the method name followed by parameter and followed by the method bodies. So based on this, can you declare a method or a function? Right. So how can we declare a method? Or okay, so it is we have to start with public, right? Because public or any other modifier, right?
Hello?
And then the return type. So public.
If you want.
Sure. So
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
You can keep it the same, like line 13. So let it pop.
And then
add. And then you need the parameter. So parentheses. And inside it, integer x, comma, integer y.
okay.
Yep. And then you could put curly braces.
Excellent. And yeah, I have some error here, right?
Oh,
So just return
Can
something,
you-
right?
yeah, return. Yes.
So let's return 0. So
Yes.
now I have no errors. So this is an example of a method. I just have declared a method plus the implementation. This is the implementation of the method, right? So this method have input or not? Yes, it has input. It has 2 parameters. Does it have output or not? Yes, it has output. It returns a int type of value, right? And did I implement that method? Yes, I have the method body, right? So this is an example of a method. So how about the inner class? Can someone someone wanna try, or I can do it? Inner class is not that important, so it's just a class inside of another class. So let's say class, uh, another class, right? Excuse me. So this is an inner class. So these 3 of a class. What is the name of my class? The name of the class is student. Now I have fields, methods, and inner class inside of my student class. So 1 second. Now concentrate. What's going on here? So I'm saying that this is a class, and these are field, and these are methods, right? A field and method of which class? Of student class. That means what is field? Field says what it, and method says what it does. Again, field says what student is, and method says what student does, right? So these are all field, right? So field will tell what is the combination of name, exam1, right? Can someone else tell what comes of the student, right? So let's say int double height, more character of a student, right? Anyone else want to give more? What what is the character of a student? Those are the fields of the student class.
Major.
Excellent. Yes. Public.
Can we consider the
Yeah, field. I mean, this field, right? So these are the character of this class.
yes.
The character, right?
So it's a high level.
I'm sorry.
It's a high level. It's a template, but we don't know the name. What's the score? It's just a template, right?
I don't want to define name because later we will create objects from this student and different, and I should write here XYZ,
Yes.
because this name is not, this name will, so different object will carry different name, right? That is the reason. What is the definition of a class? Prototype or a framework from which an object can be created. Who can give me an example of, let's say if I have a class called car, can you give me some fields of car?
Speed.
Speed, okay. Public int speed.
Model. Which model?
Color.
You said menu. I mean, what is the second one? You said menu?
Color.
Color?
She said model, but string model.
Oh, model. Model. Okay.
And color should be string too.
Okay, yes, color. Anything else?
Fuel capacity.
Oh, fuel capacity. Okay.
Yeah. And then passengers. You can do.
Okay. You said, okay.
No, no, not a string. It's a fuel capacity, so it has to be a double. How much? Passenger, how many passenger can fit, like integer passenger? Maybe
Excellent.
passenger better. Oh yeah, number. I got it.
So excellent, right? So now we have very good understanding of what is field. Field is nothing but, so what was the definition of field actually? Field, did I ever wrote? So field can be considered as a state, right? It says object store is a state, operatives. Okay, so we can call it, see how many, what we can call it. We can call, right? And is same as a state. We can call it a state. Call it properties, right? Properties, non-static variable, right? Non-static. Same thing, right? But the term are different from different point of view. But these are actually the properties, right? As I mentioned, of an object, right? So if I have a class called employee, I can have a field called public double salary, right? If I copy this line, if I paste, does it make sense? Yes or no? Does it make sense? Public double, no, right?
No.
Because salary cannot be character of class. In the same way, if I copy this and paste it here, it doesn't also, because number of passenger has no relation with employee, right? So now we have good understanding of what is a field and what is the, so a class, this class has some members, and one member is called field, and these are some examples of the of fields. All right, now let's move to methods. What is methods, right? So what field explain, field always tell what it is. See, speed, color, model, fuel capacity, number of passengers. These are saying what a car is, what a car is, right? Says what it is, right? And says what it does. It is, it does. So I'm giving one example. Let's say we are working on car, right? Let's say public void, let's say run. So run, this is saying what it does, right? So run a and what?
And then we can
And
do
then
fuel rate.
you said fuel.
Yes.
What is that?
Fuel.
Fuel and then
rate, the fuel rate, and then parenthesis.
race.
Yeah. How much fuel it can consume? Yeah. Rate with a T.
RA.
RATE, or fuel consumption, however you want to, fuel consumption, if it makes it better. Fuel consumption.
No. Okay, so let me make it easy for you. So whatever you will write, that has to be verb. This is verb. I mean, do you know what is verb is? Verb. V-E-R-V. Do you know what verb is?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so whatever you tell, it has to be verb.
Oh, okay. Does it have to be, or?
Yeah, I mean, that means verb means is doing something, right? Right? So, okay, let me give you one more example. Let's just stop a class, right? I mean, a car, right? So a car can run, a car can stop, right?
Oh.
Okay, then one more, some more. So let's say open. So this is a, I mean, this is a correct. I mean, this is a behavior. Or it can close window and go on, right? Can you give me some examples? I want you guys to give some examples.
Can turn.
What is that? I missed it. Can you please repeat it? Turn, excellent. Yes, turn, excellent. Turn right. Okay. So, and this is explaining what a car can do. So a car can turn right, right? The method of a car class. One more. I mean the last one, or a few more, if you want. Just one or two more. Brother Gauhar and Hilal, can you try?
How about accelerate?
Excellent. Okay, for
EL, no, R, accelerate. Yeah,
okay.
whatever, yeah.
So yes, excellent. So this is also a perfect example of a method. It can accelerate. Excellent. So these can do, and it says what is a car, right? And as I told, it has to be verb, and this has to be adjective, right? Adjective.
So the speed can be also a method too, correct? Because how fast under method as well? Speed?
I
Speed, could speed fall under method as well? Because how fast or how slow it can go, then it's considered verb.
yes. Those can also be I mean considered as method, as long as it describe what it does. Method. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Yes.
You know, like the name of the method, maybe this is better to have it like a verb, but the real thing is, the essence of it is what's inside, right? You could name it anything, and then you do the function inside, right?
Yes, you're right. So this is accelerate, right? So the name can be X. It doesn't matter, right? But as a programmer, right? And
Yeah.
also also what kind of method you have to include inside of car class. Now you have better understanding. Now you know what a method is. A method will say what is it, what it does, right? So does not describe what a car does. I mean, what is a car does or not, right?
So
So
this is the codes, you
yes.
know.
So
Okay.
exactly. So this is the basic, the base understanding. If you do not understand this, whenever you will code, those will not make sense. If you have to understand this, I mean, the basic understanding. I mean, before you start coding, you have to have basic understanding of this, right? So whenever you will create a class, it, right now I'm giving you example with employee, car, and student, right? But going forward, when you will be working in your, let's say, in your work environment, let's say Selenium project, you will not create student, car, and employee, right? You can create some, let's say, your application related, some button, some element. Time you can think, right? So if it is a browser, so you will think that okay, the method will be related to what it can do, and the field will be related to what it is, right? So from that understanding, you can proceed understanding. So you have to understand what is the field, what is the class, what is the method, and what is the object before you, right? You got my point?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now we know. Okay, so one, I mean, few more example. If I work on, let's say, employee, so example of field and one example of method, then I will confirm that you guys understood the concept of field, method. So I have already declared two fields here. One is called name, and one is called salary, right? And if I want to declare one more,
Public, public,
okay,
string, position.
was the excellent position. All right. So this is a field. So one example of method. So the is, and also this is adjective, right? You know what is adjective is, right? Or you want me to explain? This term adjective. Yes. No. We have learned that
Yes,
in
yes.
school, right?
Describe something. You know what it, just like what you
Right.
said.
Right. Yes. Okay. If you understand this, I'm not going to explain. And you also know what verb is. All right. So a field of employee class. Now give me one example of give me one example of a public void, and then anyone wanna try, give a shot.
Is that what you asked?
Yes, yes, a method in employee class. So just think about this: what a employee can do, or from 5 to 9 to 5, what he is doing, right?
You can say
All this.
produce,
Huh?
produce, whatever. Yeah.
Produce, excellent. Okay.
And then
So this, so this is an example of a method, right? So whatever it is, I mean, if I even tell public void work, right? So this is also an example of method. I mean, what else he can do? I can tell start work, end work, write tag, do some, and then monitor junior employee,
So
and
run report.
all these are the example of a method. Employee method. Okay, now since we understood what is a method and what is a field, now we have to understand object, right? That we started explaining from last session, right? So in main, we create object, right? So just forget about the previous one. Today we are going to create some fresh object from student class, right? So what is the syntax? How can we write create object? So first we will write the name of the class, right? And the object name, let's as student one, right? Equal, and then the keyword new, again the name of the class, and that's it, right? So so what I did, I created an object from right here, right? So this is a class. This is again, this is a class. This is object name, equal sign. That means I'm instantiating the class object using new operator, and the object name is student one. Now, if I want to create one more object, so
Same thing, change the name.
right. So let's say I have now all these 5 objects created from a student class. Okay. Now I know. So this object has how many fields? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. One method it has so far, right? It says actually let's make it sense. So instead of return 0, I can write return x plus y. It will actually return 2 numbers. I have exam 1 and exam 2, let's say, and it can add, let's name it add exams, and return the result. Okay. So 1 dot right name. If I tell, let's say, let's take a name. Hilal, Hellal. Okay. So I have given a name for student one, right? And student two dot name equal. Let's one more name. Gauhar, right? So here I have 2 names here, but how many variable I had? Variable I have?
5.
No, how many name variable I have? Only one, right? So we have only one name variable, but see the power of a class or, or an object. Now I kept 2 different names in a single variable, right? So that means what? This name is, I mean, this name is based on a particular object, because if system.out.println, can I tell to print the name? Yes or no?
No.
No, because what is the reason I cannot say name?
Well, because it's just a template. It doesn't have anything. You have to create an object and then call student 1 or student 2.
Right, because this name is not created with any object. Whenever you want to call any of these fields, you must mention the object of. Right now, name doesn't make sense. But if I tell student1.name, now it makes sense. Now it knows what is the value of name. Name itself does not have any value. That means what? It cannot run by itself. It must be associated with an object, right? I now print this. What it will print? It will print Hilal, right? Instead of student 1, if I write student 2, now it will print Gauhar, right? So this is how even so one set of fields. But okay, so let me name everything. So student1.name, student1 dot exam1, then exam2, exam1. Let's say give a number 90. So student1, exam2, height, and student1 major. Let's say computer science.
Bro, you made me too short.
What is too short? Oh, you're awake?
You made me too short.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just joking.
Okay. If you are not married, then okay, I can make it 6. All right. So okay, students. So these I have 1, 2, right? Is for student 1 only, right? Now, if I copy this, just concentrate on this. This is very important. So now I'm copying this student 2, right? And give some different value. Let's say 95, 85, and 5, right? And keep the measure same. And let's make one more object. The fields. Let's pick the second one, Selena. Okay. And give some other numbers. 5, 6, and keep it same. All right. So now I have 3 objects and 3 objects, right? Oh, I forgot to change this. So now ask, what is the value of exam 2? What is the answer?
It depends on which object. It depends on which object you refer to.
Right. The question itself does not make sense, right?
Yes.
Because exam 2. If I ask you, you have to. If I do not ask you. If I ask like 100 people, how much you make? It doesn't make sense, right? How much you make? Hey Hilal, how much you make? Then it makes sense, right? You have to associate with the field of it. The value of the field of it, right? So now I cannot just simply ask what is this way. What is the value of exam 2 of object 1 or student 1, student 2, right? So now if I want to print, let's say, the value of all 3 students, what I have to do? Can someone?
What was the question?
I want to print the to print Selina's exam 2 grade.
Then you say student.
Excellent. Student 2, you said?
No, 3.
Exam 2. Okay. Yes. So you have understood this properly. I wanna print the measure of Hilal.
You can put system.out.println student2 dot
Excellent. Okay. That means you guys understood the how you guys have now the understanding of how I am creating objects from class, right? And the relation between an object and class. So this is the class, and I can create as many. I can create now 100,000 million objects from this single class, right? So I have a single student class. Yes, go ahead.
Can we call the method that we created? You see the method that we did below? Can you give it? No, the method. Go to the class. The X. Can we call it from? Yeah, we want to call it from the.
Sure. Yeah, I'm coming to to finish build first. So what I was trying to tell. So now what we can do from a single class object, right? So now that means we are optimizing our code. We don't have to repeat. We do not have to create separate for every object. It's a single set of. This is last week I gave example of and vehicle, right? If we have 1,000 channel, we do not need 1,000 TV. We can use a single TV and we can produce TV. Same concept, right? Okay. Now method. So now if I want to print, the exam 1 and exam 2 grade, the addition of exam 1 and exam 2 of student of, let's say, Selena. How can I do it? Anyone? So what I want to do, let me tell you here. I want to print exam 1 plus exam 2, right? This value, I want to print this value. Now, how can I do it? System.out.println. What should I write inside? Anyone? Let's.
Can you actually please
Okay.
scroll up to the methods?
Sure. Student class.
Student, yes.
So it
Add
takes two
exams.
parameters.
Yeah, that's the one it should be. And then shouldn't that already print it? You don't need the system that out.
Can we do the student one, like a student one, for example, student one in the object? The object.
Yeah, object.
Student one. Can you
Yeah, student one.
you call the, can you then just uh, can we call the method and then we assign exam 1, exam 2 to it?
You from here?
Yes, yeah, we have to call the method and then assign the the variable like exam 1 and exam 2, and then the method will do the addition. Then we just call it, right?
Right. So we already assigned the value, right? On exam 2, right? We already assigned the value,
Yeah,
and we have written this method.
Yeah, them out, and then you do exam 1 student 1 dot exam 1 plus student 1 dot.
So using this method is not a good idea, but I actually asked using this method, but we should have a getter method, right? Or so to get the, I mean, okay, if I am required to have in sum, what method should should I write here? I mean, can you guess? Just take reference from here. So I method, that method will return the value of exam 1 and exam 2.
So you can give it a name,
right?
like maybe integer,
Okay, and then
integer.
y should be int. You are adding two double number.
My bad.
Double.
And then you
and
give
then,
it a name, like add exams or
add exam, okay. And then,
and
do
then
I need any parameter or not?
yes, you do like the one you did below, like int x and y.
So, I mean, right now I am dealing with this field, right? So I don't need any parameter because I need to value, right? So
Yes.
I can simply, can't I write like result, double result equal exam 1 plus exam 2, right? And I can simply return that result, right? Does this make sense? So here I can I am just I declare and I am adding exam 1 and exam 2 instead of that variable, and simply returning that variable, right? Sense? And this is same again. This is same. This is not for any particular object, right? So now, if I call add exam, right, and if I call here add exam, I mean student 1, let's say student 1 dot add exam, right? Now, if I execute the program, what it will print?
Exam 1 and exam 2.
Okay, so what will be the result? 170.
Yes.
Are you sure?
80 plus 9.
Or
No,
no?
Yes.
170.
So it says 170.
90 plus 80.
90 plus 80, right? So that means I have to write student 3 here, right? So if I write student 3, then what it will print?
150.
150, excellent. Right for student 3, right? So student 3 has exam 1 and exam 2, 75 and 75. right? Previously, it printed 90 plus 80, right? So that means what? This method is independent now, right? It right?
Hey,
It can be applied
brother,
for any of.
how come we didn't
Yes.
declare the variables inside the exam? Go back to
Instead of where? Exam
the,
here?
the method, yeah. We just put exam and
So,
parentheses. Yeah.
right. So this exam is what? So this exam is coming from here, right? Exam one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And this is coming from here, right?
Yes.
So this function can be used for any object.
Any
See?
object. Okay.
Any object. So I'm using the same method, but I am getting different results. See, different results based on the object.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that is the that is the use of method. So based on that, you can add the method in the same way. Public, let's say string or double, right? So public double get height. We write here return return height, right? So now get height. If I call this method, it says return height. Want to get the height for brother Gauhar? What should I write? System.out.println and then what?
Student 2.
I want to get the height of brother Gauhar.
Student
2. Okay.
dot.
Okay. Dot.
Yeah, your thing is lagging. Dot and then get height. Yeah.
Get height. Excellent. So if I'm giving me the height, right? So if I call the same function for, let's say, other objects, I will get them all, right? Based on the object, I'm getting the result.
Yes.
Right?
So
okay.
I guess
So
the beauty of object is you can get the field, you can have a template, generic field, and then you use it in different in many other like students or whatever, and then you can have a generic method and can be
exactly, yes. So you got the point. I believe every one of you got this point. So that is the purpose of object, right? If you do not understand object, you cannot claim yourself that you understand Java. So object is very important. So the way we are creating object now, we don't have to repeat the code, right? We have a set of field and method, a set of fields. Let's say I have 25 fields and 25 methods, right? And those a set of fields and methods can be applied for any object. Let's say we created million of objects from that class. Now all those objects can use those fields. Now, if you understand this, can you observe something here? The value. Can you see anywhere where the fields, the value of the fields get repeated? Let's say in this case, it says Hilal, Gauhar, and Selina. So it makes sense that it should be an instance variable. But is there any example where I can see 90 here, but is there any one of these which is same?
So,
I'm sorry about that.
computer science.
Yes. So computer science is a like it's a major, right? So this is common, right? So similarly, let's say if I have a school name, let's say school name. right? So it is also common. Same is, let's say, cyberbullion,
Or for
common.
example,
Let's say,
like, brother,
yes,
for example, if we have a class about a car, and then we cars, which is going to be just 4 tires, right?
exactly, yes. So those are same. I don't server object. So let's say, measure, right? So if I want to print out the measure, right? So if I write student one dot measure, if I print, it says computer science. It says computer science. If I do for computer, 3, it says computer science. Now we have to think something. So there will be some situation when all the values will be same. Let's say, can you give me some school name? I told you, right? So let's say if I tell number of hand will be always 2, number of leg will be always 2, number of eye, let's say student, those are the characteristics, right? Will be always 2. What else it has? Let's say anything you think of. Why you in that time, instead of making this instance field, we will make it field here in variable I have discussed, right? Instance and class variable. So now we are learning class variable. So what is class variable? What is the definition? It says variable, those are common to all objects. Again, variable, those are common to all objects. So here, if you notice, this class variable, this variable is the value is common for all the objects. So instead of creating this as an instance field, it field. How can we make a static field? We just write a static after a public static. The same. Now this is not an instance field anymore. Now this is called class variable. Before we this for is called instance variable. What is local variable? Any variable that is inside of a method. What is parameter? Any variable that is inside of this parenthesis, right? So we are not dealing with this. We are dealing with number 1 and 2. So we knew what is instance variable. Now we class variable. And what is a class variable? Variable that those are common to all objects. Now what happened when I wrote? Now where is my employee? Now I don't have to write this anymore. You can just delete, right? I can just delete it. And instead of writing here, I can simply write it here. Computer science. That's it. We are done, right? So now, if you go here, now dot measure, okay. If I print now, it says computer science. How about it says computer science again? How about student 2? It says computer science, right? So what all student 2 dot major equal computer science? We never declared. Since this is common, we created a static and the value right there. Who is confused about this technique? Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, can we use for like threshold? Like, you want to make sure there is a threshold that, things do not pass that threshold. You make that threshold.
Can I make the threshold for what?
Like a threshold limit. Like, for example, you set a limit to be like, for example, 70 miles. That would be static, right? Or like 80 miles, like for a road.
So 70 mile, 80 mile, why those should be a static?
No, you only have
Those
one.
should
Like the limit would only gonna be a number. Like
speed limit. The speed limit is another field. The public, let's say a double. Speed limit, right? So this should be static, right? This should not be based on everything. And actually, this should not be inside of student class. It should be inside of class, right? I mean, car. So here I can tell public double speed limit equal, let's say, 75 miles per hour, right? So this should be actually a static instead of instance variable, because this is a right. So now you have understood what is the difference between a static and non-static variable, and you have understood the how can create object, right? And now I'm going to today I want to cover the constructor. I have not started yet. Before I move to constructor, okay, if I tell you, so for student 4, did I assign anything?
A question on chat.
What is that, Selena?
On chat box, what is the difference between static
Oh, okay.
and constant?
Okay. So what's different between static and constant? All right. So static and constant. So even though I have not covered, so let me actually explain in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So constant is constant. We have learned for change, a value that will never change, right? So let's say this is a good. So this value should not be changed throughout your program or during you run where you execute your program. Speed limit is speed limit. This should not be changed, right? In that time, instead of static, you can make it actually constant. How can you make it constant? You just before the type you add the keyword final, right? Now it became constant. And if I take a, it will not be constant. So coming to your question, you said what is the difference between a constant variable and a static variable, right? Is by default a static. Again, a constant is by default static. But give some example. So here, right? So final variable. So variable can never be changed, right? So let's say this is inside of car. Let me create a car. Actually, let me create a constant inside of student class. So what is the example of constant? Let's check school name. So public, how can we create constant field? Public, static, final, school, name, quo. Oh, and this is string, right? Let's say cyber boolean. So I can print it from here. If I want to print it, I have to tell dot school name, right? Into dot actually constants has to be by the class name. So I can tell student dot school name, right? And if I print it, cyber boolean is printed, and previously major is printed, student major. So here computer science, right? So let's say I want to make, I want to change to com science. So what I can do, I can simply tell right from here. So student one dot major. So major is here. This is student. Okay. So student dot. I can write here. I'm not changing the value. I mean changing the actual value, right? Computer science. Now, if I copy this line and paste it here for line 55, what will be printed? Anyone? I just have changed. It should print com science or computer science for line 55.
Should be com science.
It could be com science, right? So that means what so in the same way now let's try to change the name of this school name. Then dot school name equal. I wanna give a different school instead of cyber boolean. I wanna write CB. Same thing I'm doing, right? Here also I did the same. Now I'm getting error. Am I correct? I did the same, but I'm getting error. And you wanna see what is the error? See here. It says a final value cannot be changed. That means what? You variable. Once it is declared, it is final. You cannot play with it anymore. Right? What is the difference between static and final? Both are same except final can. All right. So static. So both of them are static. Final is also. So final and non-final goals. So that means constant and non-constant. The difference between constant and non-constant is constant can change. And did I answer the question?
The speed limit from student, like you changed the CB, tried to do it and didn't work. So from here, are you able to change? Wait.
So this speed limit can be changed or cannot be changed.
Okay, it cannot be because it's final.
It can be changed, right? And you have understood when you should use final and when you should not.
Yes.
Right? And the convention of writing a final variable is it has to be uppercase. So you should not write all uppercase. So SPEED MIT like this. So that whenever you will deal with this, you know that you cannot change it. Right? All right. So now, is there any other question regarding this constant?
No. You have to call the class to change it.
Final, you cannot change it. Never. You can change it by calling the class name. Also by calling the one of the.
Can you do it by calling the object? Just curious.
Sure. So student one dot what?
MAJ.
Where is my major? No. Where is my major? Here. Here, right? So science, right? And you should be able to change it using an object. So student one dot measure equal
CS.
Science. CS. Right? So, I mean, this is funny. Why I able to do it, even though it doesn't make sense, because major is not related with student one. It's related with all the objects. But
I see.
this
So
is
you
just
have
a
to do, then you have to do it for 2 and 3. But if you call the
no,
class,
no. Once you do it for one, the object, it will get changed automatically. So if you see here, student one dot major equals CS, right? So if
yes.
I print student two dot major, what it will be print? What
Can
it
you
will
run
print?
it? Can we run it?
What it will print? No.
Will
But
it
you
print
tell me
CS?
what it will print.
I'm thinking I'm do the computer science, but you said it'll change everything.
So
It'll
why
print
it,
what's
it
line
should take
55
computer
percent.
science? Because we never tell anywhere that student2.com science.
can you X out this there is the class? Can you go other page?
So
Yeah, can you
where
X out
class?
the student measure, the class page?
This page, right? This is a student class right here.
No, I mean in the
Okay.
you see when you call the class and you change the measure. Can we X that one out? Will that so you have the student one dot measure. Will that take over if you have both of them?
Yeah, the latest one will be counted. So this is by the class name. This is by the object name. So the latest one will be up. I mean,
Oh, can you run it? See,
okay. Before I run, you have to tell what it will print.
I'm thinking com science, but I'm not sure. COM science.
Okay, right. So did I ever tell that? I mean, where did I say student two dot major equal com science? Where did I say?
But you change it in the
Nowhere,
class.
right?
You change it in the class. Get it to be com science.
No, but here I changed, right? This is not student two. This is student,
Yes.
not student two.
But
All right.
that
So
was for student one.
so it will print CS because the updated one will become should print CS. Yes, CS right here, right? So either you call it by class or by one of the objects, you can change. You will be able to change the static field. And if you change the static field for a single object, the object will be changed.
Okay, I see
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right. So okay, before I go to move to constructor, one more thing. Did I ever assign to anything on store?
No.
So if I tell you whatever inside of student one, can you?
You haven't assigned anything, but the static you can access it for student 4.
Oh, okay, yeah, you are right. So only one field is by default assigned. Only one field, that is the static one, and the school name. Other
Yes.
than this 4, I have not assigned anything. Now, if I tell you, can you copy whatever inside of student 4 to student 1?
You made it equal to student 1 equal to student 4?
Okay, yeah, we can do that. But before I go do that, we could have done student 4 dot
Dot, yes.
let's say exam 1 equal student1 dot exam1. We should have done one by one.
There's a function. There's a function. There's
We
a function.
could have done this way also, right?
Yeah.
And simply and you are suggesting to write student4 equal student1. You can also do these two, right? Now student4 is also got assigned. And if you change the value for student1, the value 4 will also get changed.
Is there a method if let's say you put student1 dot, is there anything called equal?
Where?
Like if you put like a student1 dot or a student4 dot, what is it equal to something or no?
Oh, equal. You mean you wanna make equal student1 equal student?
Is there any other way if you put the dot? Does it give you an equal sign, equal function or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, that was just my question. I mean.
Okay. All right. So now let's move to the constructor. So what is a constructor? So this is a constructor, right? So every class has its own constructor. A constructor is also a method. I mean, it's a special method in Java, right? And it's also it's not a member of a class. It behaves like a method, right? So how a constructor look like? A constructor starts with class name, the same class name. So in this case, the class name is student. So my constructor name will also be also be student, right? And followed by the parenthesis. For also by default, but now we just have written here. If you even do not write here, is there. But if you customize it, then so this is called default constructor. So now you can customize it. How you can customize? A method is right after the field. So these are fields, right? And this is a constructor, right? So a constructor. So this part, right? This part right here is actually. So whenever you create an object, right after writing the new, you write the constructor. Constructor name is same as the class name. So a class is a class name, and the constructor has a set of parentheses. Is my constructor, right? And if I go student class, you will see that this is, and this is considered as class, and this is a constructor. A constructor has a set of parentheses right after the class name, right? And this is a default constructor again, and it was written in this class by default before also, right? By default, we have written now, but if we customize it, then the default one is not there anymore. Okay, all right. So now we'll talk about that more. So don't worry. So this is the constructor, right? So what a constructor can do, why a constructor is used? A constructor is used to, what a constructor can do, it can construct an object, right? So from is created, we have created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and how did we construct those objects? Here we are constructing object 1, which is student 1. We are constructing means creating, we are creating student 3, right? Instead of instead of creating in this manner, we could have simply used constructor for this. Do this job using constructor, we can tell here that public student, and then I'm here, right? So I can list all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 value I can initialize through the constructor. How can I do that? So string, let's say initial name, and then a double initial exam1, and then double initial exam, double initial height, right? So I have created the constructor, right? Now inside of the method here, I mean the implementation part of the body, I will assign value of those, right? So initial name, so name, right? So this name, and then this exam1, and then exam2, right? And then height is 4, right? I have total 4 value. So name equal initial name, this name, and then exam1 equal initial.
Like if you create a new student and don't assign it anything, it automatically like assigns it these values.
Excellent. Yes.
Okay, so like student
Excellent.
4 would have whatever we are having in this, right?
Excellent. Yes, you are right. Okay. So what is behaving same as same as method, right? It has some input, the parameter, and we receive those parameter and assign those values to particular variable, right? In the same manner, we are taking 4 input or parameter or argument, and saying that this name will be equal to this value. This value is coming through this parameter. In the same way, we are doing all the values, right? So now here, whenever I create an object, instead of using the empty constructor, so this is the empty constructor right here, right? Because the empty constructor, I can use this big constructor to assign all these value. So how? So new student, I will not use the empty one. I will use the big one, right? The big one I can pass all this information. Second information is exam1, right? So let's say 65, and then 77, exam2, and then height, let's say 6, right? So I passed all the information at the time of instantiating the class. At the time of creating the object, I am also assigning the value of the field of that object, right? So this object is now created. I don't have to write this anymore for student 6. I already assigned values, right, to the fields of student 6, right? So if I want to print, let's say, or system dot out dot print line, right? So student 6, and what else I have? I have name, I have exam1, and I have height, right? And what else I have? I have here. Why matter is not coming? Anyway, okay, I'm checking that. I mean, even though I did not assign in this way, it should print all these values, right? So let me try. See, alarm 65, 75, 77, and 6, right? So how did we print that? Using this constructor. Using this constructor, I have assigned the value, instantiated the class, or created the object, or 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 so a constructor can be used for many other purposes. Let's say I can apply some logic like inside of this. Let's say what happened. Okay, student. So this is my constructor, right? So let's say name exam one. So let's say the value of exam one should not be 100 because the exam was out of 100. So by mistake, a user can give a value that is more than 100. Let's say 200 or 300, and using a constructor. How can I do that? So let's say exam one, right? So I can apply some logic. If let's say init exam one is less than 101, right? Then exam one equal this, right? So here I just have applied a simple condition that so this value should be less than 100. Then I will be assigning the value to exam one. Otherwise, I will not take the value that you have given, right? So by mistake, if I instead of exam one, if I write 105, and if I execute the program now, what this value will be? Anyone? Yes, brother Hilal.
It should not be. Shouldn't run. You shouldn't get anything back because it's bigger than 101. The condition. It's not
Yes.
gonna.
So since I gave a condition here now, it will I mean this is now less than 101. I mean 100, right? So the default value will be printed and will not come to this. I mean this 105. So let's execute the program.
Why is it 65? Or you can
Which is
you
the
put
default
like
value.
can you put like else invalid like in the condition? We put the F statement.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Else system.out.println. Right?
Yeah.
And if we run it, okay. Did that printed or not? Not printed, right?
Did you run it?
Yeah, I run it. But from constructor, yes, it should print. Okay. Invalid statement, invalid, not statement, invalid value, right? So this invalid value should be printed. Let me try again. System.out.println exam1. This did we call this constructor? I don't have to call it. This is called automatically whenever I create an object. I gave a value that is more than 101. Okay. So if I run it, okay, value, this line did not print here, right? So I don't even know why it did not print. It's supposed to print. I mean, tell me in the next session, that will be great. Otherwise, I can also check by myself.
Yeah.
Okay, anything wrong? Okay, let me actually copy this and just paste and just uh, try to print something. Let's see if it works from outside of the if statement. Yes, it printed. Oh, okay, okay. Actually, the invalid value is printed at the beginning. We are looking. I mean, here it was printed here. Okay. So we were printing line here, right? But this line executed whenever we created the object. So we created the object in this line, right? So that's the reason it printed at the very beginning. You got it or not? So what else? I mean, at this point, do you guys have any question?
No, I got a question. Let's say
Yes,
if you
please.
go back to the constructor in the object up, like if you delete like the height, it's not going to be a problem. Let's say you add you add one more, or you will get rid of one more. Would it give you an error?
Where? Here?
Yeah.
Error. You have only 4 parameters here, right? Let's say you do not want to assign height through the constructor, and you decided to take out the height.
No,
Now
take it from
you're
the other side. Take it from the other one, not from here. Leave this one and take it from there. Will that be it? From the object?
so if you take it will have arrow, right? That's for sure, because now you have 3 parameters
Yes.
and you have 4 parameters. I mean, design here. The way you have designed your constructor, you said it should have 4, and the other way, what I was trying to show you, if you take off this from here, again you are getting error here. So now you cannot assign height by this constructor. So you can assign only these 3 variables, and manually now you have to assign the last one. Dot height equal, let's say, a height. You got it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what other question you have, or is there any other question from anyone else?
Constructor is
Okay.
better because you can get it'll be less. You'll
Yes, for constructor, if time permits, I can show later. But yes, so try to okay. Let me ask you something. Did brother Tarek assign any homework from constructor, object, and class?
no. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have
So
not.
to be honest, this class is a little messy. But don't worry, we will fix it. So and there will be some homework
I did ask him.
for sure.
I asked him like the last 2 sessions last weekend I wasn't in, but before I asked him if he can give us exercises, because just watching him or watching you, at least with you, we're only 4 students. You ask us with him like they're like a lot of 14 or something. Watching, we understand, but if you don't practice it, it's not gonna stick.
He was telling them how to do everything and stuff, and then he jumps from here and there. It's very hard to follow.
Yeah, but like I said, it's like if you teach somebody how to swim and he never swim, he's not gonna learn. You can tell him all the techniques, exercise, you're gonna run into a problem. Like for example, the last step that you did when you deleted one variable, if you don't practice it, then you're gonna be stuck, and that's how you learn. From making mistakes and troubleshooting.
Okay, that's true. Okay, so okay, so that's not the end of the world. Now we have to recover. So the way the course was designed, we had 4 homeworks. So let me write it down here. So homework 1 and homework 2, right? And homework 3 and homework 4, all this. Okay?
What
And
about
we
the
have,
posted?
yeah, actually, since correct did not, so I will give the homework. So, and quiz, right? We have 3 quiz. So quiz 1, quiz 2, and quiz 3. And we have a final exam. Okay? Exam, which will be the final. This will be the 100, 150 minutes final. This quiz were 25 minutes each, right? So what I am planning is
How many homework
next
have you
group
assigned?
session.
I know there was one homework that you assigned to us. Have you assigned any other homework?
Did I ever assign any homework to you guys?
Yeah, you assigned one homework. I remember you told us one class to do. There was a homework that you told us to do.
Homework. What homework is that?
Okay, let me
Oh,
see if I
okay,
can.
okay.
There's just one homework
The
there.
scanner, the scanner class, the scanner class. Okay,
Yeah, the scanner.
not
Yeah,
that.
scanner one.
Okay, okay. So if you have that one, then I will give some website link, and you have to solve those problems from there. Okay. So maybe 3 quizzes and the final exam, right?
And is the
So
final like will
now
help
the
us write a program, including?
yes.
Right.
So
Yes, answer questions. You know.
so I will provide. I will post this on on the next class, the next group session. I will take the quiz in the first 25 minutes, and the following session also I will take a quiz in my first 25 minutes. Okay. And this homework today I'm going to provide one, and next week I will give one more. And as I mentioned, if we are behind, maybe we will for the recovering, we will take few extra classes if that is okay for everyone. But I
Yeah, I'm
think
okay
that we
with
have to do.
that. I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. So don't worry, we'll be fine. So before we wrap the session, is there any other question or concern?
No. Now, when we do the quiz in the next session.
So the quiz is in on class. So whenever the session will begin, the
No, no,
quiz
I'm
will
talking.
begin.
I'm sorry. The homework. The homework. I meant the homework.
The homework I will post it on the group chat.
Now, when we find, then we're good or something. How
No,
or
no. You have no. You have to submit it. You have to submit inside of the right. Remember? See, my other class students, they are doing very good. So this is the submission folder we have created, right? So if you, I have created separate directory for all the students,
do
right?
we?
What is
So
your other
here,
class? Are we able to join that as well? Like, for I would prefer that.
so these are my students of my other classes. All of them are active, and all of them are doing very good. And they submit their homework on time. So these are the homeworks they did. I mean, they did so far. You see it here. So Ahmed, sorry. So actually here you see the coding. So all of them. So is already created for you guys also, right? Do you have these folders or not? For a
Yeah,
submission folder?
yeah, I got a
Submission
submission
folder.
folder. Yep, it just says
Okay. So
something underscore my name.
exactly. In that submission folder, you should have folder name. Inside of that folder, you just create a folder like you can call it homework 1, and you put your homework 1 project inside of homework 1, and then homework 2, 3, and 4. And quiz, you don't have to take any action. It will be online, and I will get the score automatically. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're behind. But okay.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll be there, inshallah. So,
We already told you. So.
Yeah.
all right. Time you guys can go. You guys are hungry. I know. I am hungry too. Let's prepare something, and I'll see you guys on next week, inshallah, again. Thank
And
you.
so tomorrow we're gonna have a quiz, right, for beginning of class.
No, that's a different. That's
Tomorrow
No,
is Saturday
no, in my
morning.
group session.
Oh, you're
no,
gonna
in
give
my
the
group
quizzes in
session.
group sessions. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, that's good. That's good actually.
all right.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. You're welcome.